Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars, come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risk their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding. Because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo? You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I listen to a lot of true crime. I listen to it at night. I like the girl talk. It makes me feel alright. I like scary stories in the morning, and I like them at night. I like the girl talk vibes. They make me feel just fine. I listen to a lot of true crime.
Hello, KLRN Radio friends and family. Thanks for joining us tonight. It is November 30th, 2024. We are here in our lovely living room today because it is cold as crap outside. And so we're not on our front porch.
And I don't do well in cold.
No. So welcome to This is Front Porch Forensics podcast. I am your host, Bump Stock Ken, and this is my lovely wife and co-host.
I think you got that backwards.
What'd I say?
That you're the host and I'm the co-host.
Oh, whatever. I'm sorry.
I don't care.
She's the hostess. She's the hostess with the mostest. Bump Stock Barbie, my wonderful wife, and the one who makes sure that I'm kept correct and in line. Laura.
Well, because otherwise, like, things could go very, very awry.
Yeah. So again, this is our first show after Thanksgiving. We hope everyone had a good time. There wasn't too much drama involved. I think ours went pretty good.
Yeah. We didn't have any kind of political protest breakout.
Nope. The only problems I found was no green bean casserole and not enough deviled eggs.
Yeah.
So, well, there was deviled eggs, but I just didn't get enough of them. That's the problem. But for many Americans, Thanksgiving is all about family and friends. And that's for better or worse. There's always going to be some drama going on and a lot of talking, but hopefully everybody stayed in good mood and was cordial with each other. It can be a very joyous occasion for families to reunite, reconnect, catch up, and feast on all the traditional favorites. And for others, Thanksgiving can be fraught with stress and anxiety, the nightmares of traveling to house or sometimes across the country, political debates and differences in the house tearing each other apart. we always hate to hear stuff like that when it gets those petty differences causing such problems in the home with your family. There's just no need for any of that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue.
Right. So, but it could be a lot worse, because if you know our show at all, we normally delve into some pretty dark moments, and tonight is going to be the same. So I would say pull up a chair and join us on our front porch. But either way, grab your favorite drink, pull up a chair or a comfy spot on the couch, and join us tonight.
Yeah, tonight apparently is very different than what we normally would do, because I had a girls' day with our daughter, and he decided that he is going to curate the cases that we're going to discuss tonight.
Yes.
And I have no idea what he has picked.
Nope. They went out today and done the Support Local Business Saturday.
So we've got a couple of friends that own small businesses in town, so we went to see them and got some gifts for the grandparents. And
yeah, I think this is like an unofficial Support Small Business Day nationwide.
It's Small Business Saturday.
Small Business Saturday, that's what it's called. So they went and done all that. I stayed home and done a little bit of choring around the house and watched football for the most part. And side note, college football this year is freaking awesome, because you never know who's going to win. Anybody can beat anybody else on any given Saturday, and I'm here for it. I love it all. Anyways, so I told her to go have the girls' day, do what they needed to do, and then I would take care of the show tonight as far as picking out what's happening.
Yeah, I had told you that, like, I'm going to have to get home and do show notes, like all this kind of stuff. And you were like, no, I have an idea.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
So what we're doing tonight is she has no idea what's planned. She don't know about the cases or anything.
You have 7 cases we're going to discuss tonight?
Well, yeah, I've got 7. I got a 7-course meal in the theme of Thanksgiving to keep that going. I got a 7-course meal planned out, and I want to see her reaction, her true reaction to what's going on with each of these cases. So if you're ready, if you want to start.
Yeah, let's get right into it. I want to hear what you got for me.
I'll ask a real personal question real quick with Rick. Is the lighting look okay, or do we need to change the lighting any? There's a little bit of a glare.
Yeah, you guys are looking at a little interrogation roomish in the background, but I think we can make it work.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't messing
I
anything.
can go click on another lamp. So
yeah, I want to click on the lamp real quick.
Big light washes everything out real bad.
Tried one of the lights in there. Sorry, technical difficulties. We're working it out. We'll see. But like I said, tonight's going to be a little lighthearted. I've got a few appetizers planned. That's better, yeah.
Much better.
You might need to turn the lights off behind us, those Christmas lights. I got a few appetizers to start. Then we're going to move into the main course. And then if we have time, some dessert. So I think it'll be fun. I hope it'll be entertaining at least. And either ways, I hope y'all stick around and you hear it. Yeah, Rick says that is better. The lights behind us was washing out. So yeah, cool.
As your producer, I was starting to feel like somebody was going to start asking me where I was on June 15th or something.
Yeah, I know that light right between us seemed to be real bright right there. So, but okay.
It's the holy star behind us.
Right. So here's my little crime book,
which is my friend's journal.
Yeah, it's her friend's journal. It's nothing fancy. It's just what I used because it was laying around. So we're going to start with appetizer number 1.
Okay.
All right. This first case, let me pull my notes up. I'm so professional at this. I make it look easy, but it's not. So, number 1, Shanika Alsop. Do you know that name?
You know me. I'm not good with names, though.
Thanksgiving of 2012. So that would have been November 22nd, 2012.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day. Just to start off a little bit. So listen to this story. Thanksgiving 2012 turned gory for celebrants.
You already got me at gory, so I'm in.
For celebrants gathered at the home of Shanika Alsop, aged 27. In the course of a sibling spat about the food being served, Alsop stabbed her half-brother, Deontay Antonio Wallace, age 23,
I vaguely remember hearing about this one.
in the neck with a serving fork.
Ooh, a fork.
Yeah.
Nice.
In the neck with a serving fork. Now, since we're starting off with appetizers, Wallace did survive, and Alsop went to jail for first-degree assault, second-degree assault, and reckless endangerment. So she served some time, but she's out now. But
I gotta wonder, like, there had to be definitely alcohol involved. Like, to get
probably
that mad about, like, dishes being served, like, colder or something, like, there has to be, like, some other stuff going on here.
The reason I brought that up to caught my eye is I don't think my dad is on the Facebook chat. No, he's not. Michelle is. She'll reckon she knows Dad. So
My Aunt Darlene's there too, but
Yep.
I don't think she ever got to meet him. So
So I don't remember if it was a holiday or whatnot, but Dad had several brothers and sisters, and they had two of them had a set of twins, and there was a fight over the last biscuit at the table. That's having fried chicken, potatoes, all that, and biscuits, homemade cat head biscuits. And he wanted that last biscuit. Well, his brother grabbed it after already having the biscuit. He took the biscuit right before as Daddy was going for it. So Dad never missed a beat. He just turned, stabbed his brother in the head with the fork to the point that the fork stuck in his head. And then as he was screaming, he got the biscuit because that was his biscuit.
I say he got his biscuit.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
he said he got a butt whooping for it. He said, but that biscuit tasted good. So when I read that about Alsop, I thought, okay, yeah, that one's got to go in as an appetizer.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I imagine there's probably some stuff was imbibed beforehand.
Yeah.
Because that's not a rational response to.
Well, no, not what she did. I don't.
No.
But I get it. I understand that being siblings, Dad would knows it, intimately.
No, I have a younger brother and everything, and like we got like vicious with each other sometimes, but we never like stabbed each other with anything.
You never had Grandma's biscuits.
That's true.
So he warned him. He said that was his biscuit. He went after it, so he got his biscuit back. I get it. I ain't saying it's right. Just saying understand.
Okay, but I know that said like what she was charged with.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like anything she got convicted of? Or?
Oh, I mean, she was convicted of it. She went to jail at the time.
Okay.
But, it wasn't a murder type thing. So
Yeah.
First offense situation, and she
had no priors or anything. Okay.
Right. Kind of a crime of passion at the moment. So.
I mean, I do get passionate about food. You've seen me do my happy dance. So.
Mm-hmm. It's really good happy dance, actually. She has the same dance when she's cooking and baking, but she doesn't realize it.
Well, do I do?
Yes, you dance when you bake.
Oh.
Yeah. It's funny. I'll video it next time. So, again, that was the first appetizer, something small and sweet with no...
Just to whet the appetite.
Yeah, whet the appetite. No murder involved, but, attempted murder.
Well, I don't know if it was attempted. Like, she may have just been mad or something, may not have intended to murder him.
How about this assault then?
Yeah, I mean,
definite assault.
She wanted to hurt him, for sure.
Yeah, she succeeded.
You don't stab somebody in the neck with anything if you don't want to hurt them.
Right. So we'll move on to the next one, which is a little darker. But again, I kind of understand where this guy's coming from too. So just listen in as I read it. And I'll and then get your take on it. So, a man's home is his castle. This is the story of Byron David Smith's Thanksgiving Day murders. You know that name?
I don't know. You know me with names.
Okay. So, Byron David Smith, a retired security engineering officer with the U.S. State Department, in Little Falls, Minnesota. He had dealt with his home being burglarized several times in the past months, or the months leading up to Thanksgiving Day in 2012, same day, November 22nd, 2012. So the same day that the lady
This
just
other
stabbed her
one,
guy.
yeah.
So same.
That was a busy
same
day that year.
Yeah. So he had enough of his house being robbed. So
Well, I mean, that's understandable.
Yep. So on Thanksgiving Day of 2012, he sat in his basement and he put his plan into motion. So from the
anytime a guy like holes up in his basement with a plan,
Yeah.
like, you know, some shit is about to go down.
Right. So the video from that day, and apparently the video is coming from, this is before porch or doorbell cameras, but people had security cameras on that street because there was a lot of robberies and stuff going on that street.
That's why Daddy had his cameras out,
Right.
because there were a lot of home invasions and burglaries and robberies
It
and
looked,
stuff. So.
from what I saw, it looked very similar to the setup.
Okay.
Those kind of cameras. No.
Just as like perimeter cameras around the house type of deal.
Yeah, no sound or anything, just video.
Yeah.
So that video captures Smith, the homeowner, moving his truck from the driveway around to the back of his house to make it appear that he wasn't home, that he had left. To make it look like he was gone.
So he hit his car.
And then he entered his home through the back door, and then went down to his basement where he had his rifle set up waiting. He had another recording device, no video, just a recording device down there with him too, so he could get everything on film or on tape.
On audio at least.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he really did have a plan. Okay.
Yeah. So after he moved his car and got back into his truck and got back into his house, he waited a little over an hour when two people in hoodies can be seen casing the place. So they had to come by and, casing it out, casing the joints, looking out.
They're on his property, checking out his house, basically.
Shortly after, the teens reappeared. And it's Haley Elaine Kiefer, 18, and her cousin, Nicholas Brady, 17. Both, it turns out, are unarmed, other than some tools for breaking and entering.
So, I mean, they were like kind of the hoodlum kids. They were actually breaking and entering.
Well, it says here that Smith had suspected Kiefer and Brady of having once been responsible for at least some of the break-ins in his property and some of the adjoining properties as well. So he already had an idea of who these kids was.
Yeah.
He had already reported them several times, but nothing was ever
these
done.
kids were known to authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, known to authorities, and they never done anything about it, right? These kids also are suspected to rob a retired school teacher that had that very same morning, earlier that same day when she was gone, they had robbed that place as well, a retired school teacher. So while Smith was sitting in his basement waiting, he had a tape recorder running. There's a couple hours of audio recordings, again, no video, just audio recordings, that documents the time that he lied in wait, as they put it, complete with a sound.
I mean, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Let's just be factual about that. That's literally what he was doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, the audio records the breaking of the glass, the movements in the house, him moving, I guess, up the stairs or whatever, the ensuing confrontation and commotion, and then the gunshots. Smith's statements during the killing on the tape before the cops got there, and then afterwards, his quote saying, "I refuse to live in fear. I am not a bleeding heart liberal. I felt like I was cleaning up a mess. I was doing my civic duty. So I don't see them as human. I see them as vermin."
So he saw himself as like a vigilante of sorts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty rough considering they were teenagers too. I mean, It doesn't excuse what they were doing, because what they were doing was objectively wrong.
Yeah.
They were breaking the law. Now, Castle Doctrine, I don't know if that applied at the time. Yes, he had the right to defend himself and his home, inside his home. They were already inside the home.
Right. But
at the same time, they're teenagers. Like, you show up with a gun, they're probably going to try to turn and run away. They are no threat to you.
Right.
So I kind of have issues with that one.
Well, he's charged with, he was found guilty of and with first degree murder and second degree murder, 2 counts of each.
I mean, he did. He had a plan. This was premeditated. I mean, I don't know if he intended to kill anybody, but him holding up with a rifle and everything and lying in wait. Yes, this was 100% premeditated.
Oh, for sure. Premeditated,
so,
for sure.
100%.
So, despite the 2 dead bodies being in his house, Smith waited to call the police until the 23rd, the day after.
He waited a whole day?
Yeah, his statement is, look, I didn't want to bother them because it was Thanksgiving. So he waited to call cops until...
There's a somewhat kind of logic there if you're an insane person. Like, it's a holiday. I don't want to bother you with these dead bodies. You have dead bodies in your house, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you got to call somebody.
Well, he did. He just was being polite about it. What gets me is like, because it doesn't say this in this story, but as I was reading up on it, he shot him with a high-powered hunting rifle. So this neighborhood was so used to gunshots and stuff that nobody else called it in either.
I say nobody showed up. No, there was no reports of gunshots filed. That nobody came to investigate.
Nobody did. He called and turned himself in.
Well, I mean, at least he did that much.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
I mean, that's just insane. Like, I don't want to bother you with these dead bodies. It's Thanksgiving. Like,
right. I mean,
there's a certain amount of conscientiousness happening there. I'm very, very amusing. And I shouldn't find that amusing because these are like teenage kids that are dead. But that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
To me. Like,
yeah.
I'm kind of stuck on that a little bit.
I mean, I get to, I can, again, trying to, again, not saying he's right. I just saying understand. They've been tormented with this going on in their neighborhood for a long time.
Yeah. And it's not just him. It was other neighbors.
Yeah.
And
this guy had no other family involved. It was just him. He was by himself in this house, and he was just done with it. So in his mind, he had decided, I'm going to end this. And
once and for all, basically.
Once and for all. And I'm going to put him out. Now, of course, we don't know with the rifle and the waiting. I wonder if his intention was to kill them or just to hold them at gun.
I say with no video and only audio, like we have no idea what that confrontation entailed.
Right.
Like, I mean, one of them was a teenage boy, right?
Yeah, 17-year-old boy.
Okay, 17-year-old boy, that's not a small kid usually.
Right.
And for an older man matched with a 17-year-old boy, there could have been a situation potentially.
Yeah, well,
where lethal force was warranted.
Yeah. It says that the audio did capture the confrontation and the struggle, and there was some sort of fight. There was a commotion, is what it says.
Okay.
But that doesn't change the fact that he waited on them and baited them to come into his house. So
basically, I mean, moving the truck and everything is a big tell. Like he intended to make it look like he was not at home.
Yeah. And he had the pre-planning to do all that. So I mean, he had
the setup, he had the recorder, he had the gun, he had everything set up.
See, that's why I wonder if he was planning on killing them. I wouldn't have recorded it if that was my goal. So that's why I'm wondering if maybe it escalated or something. I don't know.
I don't know if it was disclaimer. Like, we're not saying this is something we would actually do. This is all hypothetical.
It's kind of like that book that OJ wrote. If I did it.
If I did it, this is what
I would do.
We're going to have our outdoor cameras, obviously. So you get them entering the home, breaking and entering. Mm-hmm. But then there are going to be cameras inside the house. At least I'm going to go that far. Because I want everything lined up to say, like, I was completely justified in this.
And see, this is where I kind of differ with you. I like the idea of having proof they came into my house. Don't necessarily want to see what the proof is that happens inside the house.
if it exonerates us, then we need it.
Yeah, if it exonerates us. But if I'm this guy here,
that depends. Like it could be one of those things, like you just kind of like maybe come out of the bathroom or something, and these people are in your home. Then a confrontation ensues where they are the aggressors.
Yeah.
And then you react to that. That's 100% justified.
I'm fine with
having
that
video would prove that.
I'm fine with having the cameras in the house, but I want the ability to delete anything that it captures if I need to.
I mean, that's how most of these security systems work now.
Because unalived people, witnesses can't testify in court.
No.
So it's only one person's story, and that's
as long as the forensic evidence lines up with your story, you're usually good.
That's
so
doable.
It's like the sticker I have on the back of my computer here. Like, don't mess with a woman who knows how to stage a crime scene.
Right. And again, that's in our upcoming book.
Hypothetically.
That's in our upcoming book. If I did it, this is how I would do it. So.
This is not advice.
No, no. We are not trained professionals giving advice. We're just.
Well, you may not be a trained professional.
We're not accredited professionals. But, yeah, that's not advice. It's just saying, hey, maybe.
I mean, if it comes down to it, make sure your ducks are in a row, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, that's again, not saying it's right, should not have happened, but I could see a man toward, at the end of his rope.
And again, we have no idea what happened in this confrontation.
Yeah.
All there is an audio tape that proves that a confrontation occurred.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea who instigated it. We have no idea who escalated it.
Right.
Like, we have absolutely no idea of anything that happened before the gunshot.
But what we do know is 2 teenagers were killed.
Right.
And
unarmed teenagers, and
they put themselves in that situation, but it's still tragic.
They were committing crimes.
Yeah.
But being unarmed and everything, I don't know if that's worthy of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we don't know the situations of the confrontation.
Right.
So we don't know those circumstances.
Again, he was tried, he was convicted, he went to jail. So obviously the Castle Doctrine didn't stand up. And I understand exactly why it wouldn't have stood up in this case.
What state was that?
I don't remember.
Because I was about to say, Castle Doctrine is not in all 50 states, I don't think. It's
No.
not a thing.
Mm-mm.
So it depends on the state there.
I don't know what state it was in.
And that's just good advice in general, like self-defense laws, justifiable homicide. If it ever comes to that point, know what your state laws are. Know what the criteria is, know what needs to be, what circumstances need to be met for it to be justified.
It was in Minnesota.
Oh, they should have Castle
Yeah,
Doctrine.
Little Falls, Minnesota. That's where it was.
I say Minnesota, I think, would be a hunting state, so I think that they would have laws like that. And I don't know. I mean, I know our state laws, but really not anybody else's. So
yeah, and this
I'm
is
kind of useless on
again.
that.
This is 2012, so I don't know what it was for sure. Don't know what it was back then. So that was appetizer number 2. A little more hearty, a little more filling.
It was actually murder this time. It
Yeah.
wasn't just like assault with intent.
Yeah, this is something you could sink your teeth in a little bit better,
Well, I don't know. She stuck a fork in the other guy's neck. I mean, maybe that's what she was trying to do.
Castle Doctrine, author Senator Kerry Ryan, prepared by.
So we got our producer sending us some info here.
Yeah.
So
Seeing what it was in there. I don't know if you want to look that up, we can find it out. Since
2020, so it would have applied in 2012 then.
Yeah, it wouldn't. This is 2012, so
yeah,
I see what it was created in 2020, so it wouldn't have been a thing in 2012.
Yeah.
So maybe this has something to do with getting it into the law.
Maybe.
Cool.
That could be interesting. We could do statutes one day, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably more interesting to me than many other people.
Byron David Smith, bad on killing. Good idea. I'm not going to fault you on that one. I understand where you're coming from. Better be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
That's very true. I mean, did he know that they were unarmed, or?
Well, they had tools to break in. So, I mean, if it's a crowbar, that's a deadly weapon
As
as
I
well.
say, any kind of tool can be used as a weapon. So,
Yep.
again, we don't know what happened in that confrontation at all. So,
But if you are interested, it's November 22nd, 2012. Byron David Smith. It's just go online, look it up. I'm sure we can find it out. I should have done more research, but
I say we can provide links later. So,
yeah. Well, we won't. We could, but we're not gonna.
y'all remind me, and I will.
We got
'cause
the
you know
whole
me.
world wide
He's
web
honest.
out there.
We could, but we're not gonna.
We're not gonna. Yeah. Look it up. It ain't hard. If I can do it, you can do it. So our last appetizer, because you know I like appetizers.
Okay, so we had 3 appetizers. This is number 3.
Yep. This is the biggest appetizer, of course. So this is maybe something like the bread and the rolls with the lots of butter type.
I say the more
appetizer.
hearty,
Yeah.
the more filling appetizer.
Yes. So this is November 26th. Sorry, I got to look up the dates again. I'm trying to keep the dates in order. I don't see the year. It'll probably be in the story. All right, here we go. 2020. November 26th, 2020. Thanksgiving Day, of course. The mass shooting that carried across state lines. Thanksgiving Day.
So would that be more of a? I'd need to know the details because that could constitute not as a mass killing, but a spree killing. If it went across state lines, like multiple locations.
It was multiple locations, yeah.
So it could be a spree, then not mass.
Well, spree then.
It depends. I mean,
Look,
each individual location could be considered mass depending on the number of victims.
It said mass shooting across state lines in 2020. I'm not mass spree. I don't know.
To me, that's important. That's an important distinction to me.
Well,
so I need the details now.
Well, hear the story, and then you decide if it's spree or mass or both. It's not serial.
Yeah,
we know that,
obviously.
So, and again, shooting, not killing. Well, there is a death, but so I'll just read it verbatim. Kevin Medolia Jr. was tragically killed during a wild shooting spree beginning November 26th at a 7-Eleven in southern Nevada. His younger brother, girlfriend, and 2 other people were also hit by gunfire, but they survived. Now that's what, 4 people at that one 7-Eleven.
Okay, so I mean that is a mass shooting, at least by just the definition of very generalized mass shooting. Like there was 4 or more victims shot, not necessarily dead, but shot.
So this began at a 7-Eleven in Nevada.
Okay.
It carried on across local roads and highways and ended just before 1 a.m. on November 26th. So basically all day long this happened.
So yeah, definitely a spree.
Yeah. So you have those 4 victims at the 7-Eleven. 24 other people, including drivers and walkers, reported being targeted by a trio of attackers. So we're looking at 4, then 24 others. So that's 24. 16, so 28. So almost 30 people.
Yeah.
Was shot at or shot during this spree of shootings. Only 1 death.
Which, I mean, that in and of itself is kind of a miracle. I mean, considering that many people they were shooting at.
Right.
Was this kind of like maybe a thrill?
Well, the chaos, the chaos continued into Arizona with more shootings, including one involving a police officer. So you've got 28 in Nevada. It moves into Arizona with more shots, with more shootings, including a police officer there in Arizona. So identified, tried, and charged and convicted was the first shooter, 31-year-old Sean McDonald, his brother, 28-year-old Christopher McDonald, and his wife, Kaylee Lewis McDonald. She was married to the 28-year-old Christopher. at a high-speed police chase ended abruptly when the attackers in a black Toyota Camry flipped over during the police chase in Arizona. This would be in Arizona. And Sean McDonald emerged from the wrecked car, pointed a gun at the officers, and fired as he was crawling from the wreckage. The police returned fire, shooting Sean, but he survives the gunshots.
Okay.
So that's how they take him into custody. Inside the car, this was the car they fled in, police found 3 other handguns, 2 machetes, and a baseball bat. Christopher McDonald, who is also, I want to mention this, I saw pictures of him. I should have sent it to you earlier, but he has face tattoos all over, and it's like that.
Was that the one that was like the neck brace looking thing?
Yeah, the skulls right there.
I thought he was just bruised up. I was like, man, he got all beat up, but no, those are tattoos. That's
I don't know if you can see him. That's Christopher McDonald, the younger one, and then that's our brother there. Oh boy!
It's always the ones you least expect.
Who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? Didn't see that one coming. That apparently that was right after he led Bible study at his church.
Well, I mean, he has crosses on his face.
He's got one at least. That's Sean McDonald, the one with the tattoos there. All right. He was kind of the lead guy in all this shooting. So Sean allegedly told investigators he told his brother to shoot the black guy. As he alleged to have mentioned an upcoming war, all 3 of them were given over a dozen charges each relating to the shooting. So this guy had apparently some racist motivations.
Yeah.
And
did they charge any kind of hate crime or?
It doesn't go specific, but hate crimes is part of it for him. And then
because I mean that would qualify if it's racially motivated.
Yeah,
so.
They each one got over a minimum of a dozen charges in all this. I had it all wrote down somewhere. But anyways, they had a total at the time of the trial, they had 53 different charges ranging from terrorizing or terror charges all the way up to murder because of the first guy.
Terrorizing or like terrorism?
Terrorism.
I was about to say, well, ideologically motivated would qualify, and racist motives are ideological. So
a total of 53 accounts ranging from terrorism, hate crimes, all the way up to murder and everything in between. So they threw everything they could get on them.
Yeah.
Federal now because they cross over 2 states.
Yep.
So it's all felony charges and all that stuff. They did all 3 were charged and they are in jail now for it. So you got any more questions on them?
No, that one seems pretty straightforward. I would say the 7-Eleven would qualify as a mass shooting under the vaguest definition of a mass shooting, since 4 people were shot.
Right.
No deaths, but 4 people were shot. So I would say that qualifies in that particular location. That would be a mass shooting for that one.
Yeah, just on the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
There was other people shot.
And then they moved along, which now constitutes spree killing.
Right.
Or, spree shooting, I guess, in this case.
Sorry. This is the breakdown of the charges. They face the following charges, among others: acts of terrorism, murder with use of a deadly weapon committed with the intent to commit, cause, aid, further, or conceal an act of terrorism, assist, solicit, or conspire to commit act of terrorism, attempted murder with the use of a deadly weapon in intent to commit, cause, aid, further, conceal the act of terrorism. They're pretty heavy on this terrorism part. Conspiracy to commit murder, discharging a firearm at or into occupied vehicles with the intent to commit, cause, further, conceal the act of terrorism, discharging firearm in occupied structure battery with the use of a deadly weapon, resulting in substantial bodily harm.
So what, they actually assaulted, like not just shot people, but maybe assaulted people with their.
Well, they had
like,
machetes
you
and a
talk
baseball
about,
bat
like,
too.
yeah.
So.
I was thinking like, pistol whipping almost.
Right. Resisting a public officer with use of a firearm, that's them shooting at the cop, and ownership or possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. You mean he wasn't prohibited on that gun? You think he failed a background check? I don't know how.
They seem like such upstanding young men.
Yeah. The Clark County District Attorney at the time says the act of mass violence left both physical and emotional scars on the victims and their families, and our thoughts and prayers are with them. The best way we can honor them is by seeking justice on their behalf, and we are doing that with the most serious charges possible: murder, acts of terrorism, and other terrorism enhancements.
But I say the terrorism charges are going to carry a lot more weight.
Yes.
So I can see why they went really, really heavy on
Right.
that. And I mean, they didn't have any specific victims in mind.
No.
It was random.
Yeah.
It was purely random. And I guess to me, that's what makes something like that so much more terrifying.
Right.
Because, I mean, anybody could be subject to that.
Yeah.
Anybody could be victimized by something like that.
It's like
like they did not care who they hurt.
Yeah, it's almost like something from Rob Zombie, just random acts.
Yeah.
What's that
Just
movie?
violence for the sake of
The
violence.
3 from Hell or whatever it's called,
Yeah, the Devil's Rejects
Yeah.
and all that.
Just random acts of violence, just violence for violence sake.
Yeah,
you know.
they just enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Now they did cop some plea bargains and stuff like that. The girl divorced her husband during all this.
Smart thing.
She
At
got
least
the-
one smart decision
She
made.
got the least amount because she said she was just along for the ride, but she still done some time.
I was just along for the ride. Like, at what point during this ride do you say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, how do you just go along with this the entire time?
Well, like I said, she got the divorce. She pleaded her case saying that, she didn't actually do any shooting or anything like that. She got the least. She has the opportunity for parole. The 2 brothers don't. And the older brother, the one with the tattoos, he got life with no parole as well. But they all plead their cases down. So I don't know if they just got some of the charges dropped or maybe dropped down from terrorism. I'm not
they
sure.
probably agreed to plead guilty to certain things
Yes.
in order to get a lesser charge.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a good thing that you said that they're not up for parole. Like they have.
I think the girl is, but I don't think the 2
but
brothers
the 2
are.
guys, the
Mhm.
2 masterminds, as big brained as they
But
apparently
I
were.
said this was in 2020. They're not in parole for a long, long time. So, I mean, there's.
But I said, do they have still the opportunity for parole?
The
at some
2
point?
boys, I'm pretty sure don't. I think
Okay. That's what I was hoping to hear. Like that should just be. If you're willing to do that just randomly,
right.
like just for poops and giggles and stuff, like you just want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't. Once we arrest you and everything, like you just need to stay in prison.
Yeah.
Like, because there's no telling. Like, if you were willing to do it once, you're probably willing to do it again.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. Especially in those kind of cases, because like I said, it was just so random. There was no reason that anybody that I know of can tell you why.
Yeah.
They just decided to start doing that. Nothing really set them off. They just, this would be a good time.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. I can't put myself like in that mindset.
Mm-mm.
I always try to understand it. Me, that's the whole obsession with true crime for me.
Right.
Is trying to understand that mindset because I can't fathom it and I need to make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my mind, I need it to make some kind of sense.
Right. So that was kind of unique. That interesting to me that crime started at a 7-Eleven, and all of Orty's crimes happened behind a Circle K. So that's kind of.
I mean, it's just
little
a step. It's a step removed. I mean,
little different, little different levels of crime or debauchery.
Should we
But,
show their pictures again? Maybe Orty has like seen them like wandering around.
Could be. Now Circle K is classy. It's classier than a 7-Eleven, I think.
Yeah,
I have a Circle K app, by the way. So I wonder that could.
I say yes, Orty. I wouldn't say they're crimes because all those moms are consenting. You see his comment there?
Also crimes.
Crimes?
Crimes against nature, Orty. Crimes against nature. It's not right. So that's our appetizer course. Kind of, like I said, wet the palate, gets you in the mood for something. We've worked our way up from a nice, calm stabbing to some murders.
I love that, like, I've rubbed off on you that the stabbing was like the calm one here.
Oh, yeah. The stabbing, that's a stabbing.
Nobody died. It's okay.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Just stabbed him in the throat with a
serving
fork.
Hey, those serving forks are pretty big, though. So, I mean, that was kind of brutal.
Mm-hmm. So, moving on to the main course. This is when it gets big. Let's see, make sure I got the right one. Yes. Jupiter, Florida.
Everything weird happens in Florida. So I'm like locked in already.
Right. Well, now I've been to Florida several times, and I've always enjoyed my trips to Florida.
Except to Jacksonville.
Except for Jacksonville, which is the armpit of hell, and I never want to go back to Jacksonville, Florida. You can keep Jacksonville, Florida. There ain't nothing good happen down there. If you're from Jacksonville, Florida, I'm sorry. It just
that's how I feel. That's my truth.
I'm sure you're a good person, but Jacksonville ain't a good spot. So, anyways, Jupiter, Florida. This is Thanksgiving of 2009. I'm not sure what date that is. And this is about no, I don't find a date here. Anyways, 2009, Thanksgiving Day. This one is Paul Michael Merhige. Merhige. So we're gonna go marriage. Paul Michael Merhige.
We're Southern. We don't do names very well.
Yeah, Merhige. It's Paul Michael Merhige. This one is 20 years in the making. Is the name of this one here. So we're gonna start here.
Oh, so this one has like some good backstory, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it was 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
Like,
so the opening line here is there was no signs of discord at the family gathering of 17 relatives on Thanksgiving of 2009. After dinner, which they said had no drama, everything was nice and calm, relaxed. It's a normal Thanksgiving dinner. They was all stood around the piano for a sing-along. They had no idea that their night would end in a massacre. Dun-dun.
So, okay. Is this like one of my Hallmark movies that like turns dark, or like Hallmark meets like Lifetime?
Probably,
Because they're all standing around the piano, they're singing, and it's like this sweet like family, like Thanksgiving, Christmas vibe.
Right.
And then there's murder. So it's Hallmark meets Lifetime.
It is actually kind of. So at this family home, they had at the family home of Muriel Sitton and Jim Sitton, and with their 6-year-old daughter Michaela Sitton, they was hosting this
It
party.
was their house.
Their house. Raymonda Joseph and Dr. Antoine Joseph. Raymonda is a woman, by the way.
Well, I got that with the A at the end.
It's an E with a little thing at the end, but yeah.
Oh, well, still.
Yeah. The couple have been married more than 50 years. That's the, what is it called? The parents, anyways. That's the patriarch and matriarch of the family. That's grandma and grandpa. They're at the daughter Muriel Sitton and her husband Jim Sitton and their 6-year-old daughter Michaela. That's kind of the hosts.
So we've got the husband, wife, daughter, and like the parents.
Yes. Then you've got Antoine's sister, Carol Mahagi, was also there with her husband, Michael Mahagi, and their 3 adult children, Paul, 35, that's Paul Michael here, and his twin sisters, 33-year-old Carla Lynn Mahagi and Lisa Ann Knight. Lisa Ann Knight was there with her husband, Patrick. Lisa Ann and was pregnant with their first child.
Ooh.
So we got, so to set the
has
picture.
taken a very dark turn for me. So.
Yeah, so setting the picture, we've got.
Like we've already got a 6-year-old and now an unborn child in the mix.
Yeah.
So
Raymonda Joseph and Dr. Antoine Joseph. Their daughter, Muriel Sitton, her husband, Jim, and their 6-year-old, Michaela Sitton, is the Sitton residence. You've got Joseph's sister, Antoine's sister, Carol, her husband, Michael, and now their 3 children, which was Paul, are bad guy, and his twin sisters, Carla and Lisa. Lisa's husband, Patrick. So
Lisa is the one that's pregnant.
Lisa's one that's pregnant.
Okay.
So Muriel Sitton, the host of the house, or the hostess of the house, said in court documents that she was shocked to hear that Paul would be attending because the year before, when the Josephs, grandma and grandpa, hosted Thanksgiving, the father expressly forbade Paul from joining them ever again. Huh. So the Sittons didn't invite Paul this year. Paul's father did. And that would be in Michael Mahingi.
Just don't bother with the last name.
So Michael invited his sons. Come on, we'll make you. I know everybody got mad last year. Come on, it'll be fine. We'll straighten it out. Your family, come on.
Does this explain why he was forbidden in the first place, or
it doesn't exact details on why, but we'll get there. Let's see. It does say why. We'll go ahead and find that real quick.
I say because it says it's 20 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I need to know
some backstory. Here you go. In 2006, Paul's sister Lisa had filed a restraining order against him.
So his sister filed a restraining order against him.
Yes, because he had threatened to kill her in 2006.
Oh, he seems lovely.
Also, according to a lawsuit filed by the Sittons, the hosts, Paul had also been very violent with his mother before in history. Now, the restraining order was later withdrawn. You know, she had it withdrawn, I guess, because it's her brother or whatever. And that was in 2006, on into 2007 when this happened. To give a little backstory, he had some issues.
Okay. And he seems to target, like, the female members of his family, too. Sister and his mother. Like,
right.
I kind of wish I knew more about, like, that whole dynamic.
Well, you're about to.
Good.
Paul was reclusive. Drew reclusive and further away from the family as he got older. And at the age of 19, he was diagnosed with severe forms of depression and obsessive compulsive disorder.
Okay.
Now, before this, when he was a teenager growing up, he was described as vivacious, friendly, and well-liked.
Now, see, this is something that I've mentioned in several other episodes that we've done. A lot of the more severe psychoses that we see in people and like violent offenders come on like in later teen years or early 20s, which the severe depression, the OCD, and OCD doesn't have to be just, oh, I got to turn this light switch off like 17 times before I leave a room or something. It's actually a fixation in general. It can be on anything.
What is it in the Friends episode where Ross and them's having dinner?
No, it was.
He says he's got a flip it. He's got to turn his light on
It was
19
when-
times.
It was when Ross got Joey the job as the museum tour guide and everything. And, you know, Joey had the blue blazer and Ross had the white coat, and they kind of segregated at lunch. And Ross did the whole big speech and, you know, let's get to know the people underneath the coats. And they're all doing their little speeches and everything. This one guy stands up. He was like, I have to turn the light switch on and off 17 times or else my family will die. And everybody just kind of sits there for a second. They're like, all right.
Yeah. By the way, we need to have a podcast one night about Friends, because this one right here,
I can reenact basically every episode.
I kid you not. She knows, you will not stump her. She knows everything about Friends.
They don't play trivia games with me about Friends anymore.
We bought that. We did buy a trivia game one time that's about Friends, and I promise you, she answered every single question correctly on the first try. Every one, not most.
Nobody else.
Every one of them.
The Tiny Tyrant won't play anymore because she never got a turn.
Well, we never moved. You answered every question. Anyhow, yes, your Southern folks have quite the accent as to the ambience of the stories. Well, thank you. We can't help being awesome with our voices.
I say, Orty, I think, said it best. Like the first time that they had me on Toxic Masculinity. Afterwards, he always tells people that hearing my voice was like sweet tea for the soul.
Sweet tea for the soul. Yeah, I don't know what they mean by accents. We don't have an accent.
Everybody else does.
Everybody else does. But anyways, back to our horrible killer, Paul. He was an honors student at a prestigious private school in Miami.
So he's got the intelligence there in his background.
Yeah,
I mean,
it says he was smart, but not very bookish. So he didn't like read a lot or anything.
Okay.
He attended parties. He danced. He played varsity sports. He was very popular. He was on the football team. He was a kicker. He was a baseball player, and he also played soccer. So I see he's starting to go downhill now. Soccer is a communist sport. So I can see some red flags going on right now. And in his senior yearbook, on his dedication page, he made a dedication to his family saying, thanking his parents for all that you have given me and all 32 members of my extended family, including grandparents, aunts, and uncles, and cousins, saying, I love you now and I will love you forever.
I mean, apparently that changed.
Yeah, that did not age well.
Yeah.
So at 19...
Like the lie detector test proves that is a lie.
Yeah. So at 19, he gets diagnosed with depression and obsessive compulsive disorder. So I imagine there's some stuff leading up to this as well.
He probably had the signs through his teen years and everything. But as you get older and everything and your brain actually starts to fully mature, those kind of things actually set in.
Right.
Like fully set in. And those signs become more and more apparent.
Mm-hmm. And his twin sisters, he had actually wrote a special note to them saying, I've been so lucky to be blessed with having twin sisters and being your protective older brother.
Now, that's what I was going to ask. Like, he is the older brother. They're not his twins. They are twins with each other.
He's, at the time of the murders, he's 35 and they're 33.
Okay. So, yeah, they came afterwards and they are twins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, after the whole ordeal happened, one of the survivors of the house, Jim Sitton, he testified that after Paul had done his killing spree and left the house, that as he was after he shot the sisters, he was, quote, saying, I've been waiting 20 years to do this.
That's not good.
No.
There was like a lot of repressed shit there then.
Yeah. Jim says in his statement is, as he shot the one of them, he turned, says, I've been waiting 20 years to do this, shot the other one, and then he reloaded his gun and went to a different part of the house.
I mean, that's very serious intent to reload, to actually take the time to stop, reload, and then move on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So a little more backstory on him. As Paul continued to grow older, this is after he was 19, his mother said that he had a nervous breakdown when he was 19, and that's what they sent him to the doctors for. He was diagnosed with severe depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and at that point he became unemployed, and he was financially supported by his parents, and he lived with them until the year of their murders. So from the time he was 19 to the age 35, he'd lived with them.
Which, I mean, that's exactly what I was saying. That's what I expected, that all of this mental illness started to really set in, and the signs were becoming more and more noticeable.
Right.
So, yes, I mean, with that kind of stuff, he probably wasn't able to function in society.
So from the age of 19, when all this started going down, to the age of 34, because it does say he does get an apartment and move out, but he was living with them on and off even when he had the apartment. Court documents show that he had a history of threats, violence, suicide attempts, including shooting himself in the chest one time.
Jeez.
So he definitely, you can kind of see now why the family was
about 19 is where we see the downhill. Like now we're on that downhill slope.
Yep. So you can see why the sister had the restraining order, the history with the mother.
Yeah.
Hey, don't let Paul come back to the family get-togethers no more. It was getting to the point where, let's see if it says when he done it. 2006, Paul's sister Lisa filed a restraining order, which she later withdrew. At this point, he had been living in an apartment the year of 2009, but his parents were still paying for his apartment and everything. And it says that it is speculated that the parents was going to tell him that enough's enough. You have to get a job now. We can't continue to support you. And they was getting ready to cut him off.
Right.
Up to this point. But so anyways, against the family's wishes, he gets invited to this Thanksgiving. And he shows up 90 minutes late.
It's an hour and a half late.
Yeah. Little more than fashionably late.
Yeah.
He said
15, 20 minutes I could see as fashionably late.
Yeah, he shows up 90 minutes late. He is kind of distant from the family. He's not causing any trouble or anything. He's just not very talkative. He just kind of is awkward, him being there.
Right.
But he sits at the table. They eat dinner together. He's kind of quiet during dinner, but causes no troubles. After dinner, to clean everything up, everything's still good. He's actually talking with the family a little bit, warming up some. Afterwards, they sat around the piano. This is about 8 o'clock or so. They kind of gather around the piano in the evening. They start gathering around the piano. They're playing music, singing songs. The 6-year-old is performing a part that she's got an upcoming play. So she's singing, performing her show and all that stuff. And then she goes on the bed because it's 9 o'clock at this point.
Right.
She goes on upstairs to her bedroom. And the family just kind of gathered around. Paul excuses himself and goes outside at this point. The family's kind of winding down, just kind of sitting around. The kid went upstairs and all that. Paul leaves the house. He's gone for about 20 minutes. When he comes back inside, he had a handgun in his hand, doesn't say a word, and just starts shooting. Just walks out to his car, gets the gun.
So I wonder, what led up to all this in his mind anyway?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, that's, I know he's distant and everything, but he's got his issues. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something obviously. I mean, he said that I've been waiting 20 years to do this. So at some point, he made the decision
to go ahead and go through with it.
He brought the gun with him. So, I mean,
he was apparently in his car or somewhere outside.
Yeah, I'm assuming in his car.
Yeah.
Because they said, I didn't mention it earlier, but the parents was not only paying for his apartment, they had bought him a car too.
Okay.
So he could get back around and all that. So, according to the statements from the survivors, Paul didn't say anything before he started firing. They said he walked into the house, walked straight up to his aunt, Raymonda Joseph, and shot her. The first shot hit her in the shoulder. She falls to the floor. The husband tried to stop the bleeding. Of course, everybody, I imagine, this point is just in shock. And the husband goes down. He's over his wife trying to stop the bleeding. Paul walks up, leans over the husband, and shoots her again in the chest, point blank. Boom.
I say bypasses the uncle.
Well, he shoots her in the
She
chest.
falls. He's tending to her.
Yeah, and then he walks up to him, shoots her again in the chest.
But again, the uncle is tending to her, so he bypasses the uncle to shoot her again in the chest.
Yeah, and then after he makes sure she's dead, he stands up, puts the gun against the uncle's head, and pulls the trigger twice. The gun jams and doesn't fire.
Jeez.
So at that point, the uncle he just kind of falls to the ground over his wife. At this point, Paul works the jam out, turns around because at this point everybody else in the room is fleeing the room. So he gets the jam worked out of his pistol.
Nobody tried to come at him while he was fixing his gun?
I imagine this is happening pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So they're leaving the room. So at this point, he continues on with the shootings, and he shoots Carla, his sister, shoots her dead, and then he shoots Lisa Ann, which is pregnant, and he kills her too.
And kills her baby then.
So that's 3 adults and then her unborn child. So that's 4 dead right there. Right? So at this point, people are fleeing the house. They're trying to get her out. The Patrick Knight, who is the husband of Lisa Ann, of course, he was checking on his wife and stuff like that. He sees Paul go upstairs. That's where the 6-year-old's at.
Michaela, yeah.
So Patrick Knight leaves. He goes upstairs, and before he can get up the stairs, he hears the gunshot in the bedroom. So he kind of freezes. Paul comes out of the bedroom, and and the report says that Paul stops. He turns around, looks into the bedroom, and then raises the gun and fires 2 more times. So we don't know if he just wants to make sure he killed her, or the first shot didn't work and he shot her again.
Or if he's at this point adding insult to injury.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We don't know if maybe it didn't happen, so he had to make sure he had to kill her, or he just inserts the injury or whatever at this point. Now, after he kills the sisters, that's when he reloads the gun. He says, "I've been waiting 20 years to do this," and he walks by and goes upstairs to kill the 6-year-old.
I mean, notice how he's mainly targeting the female.
Yeah, he bypasses
members of his family.
He bypasses all these men that's there.
Which, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, if you're going to do this, the men are the ones who can stop you. You take them out first. That's how most killers usually do it.
Right.
They disable or kill the men in the home first.
The threats.
But this guy, it's only been his sisters, his aunt, the 6-year-old niece.
Yeah.
Like, just the female members of his family. So I wonder if there was something in his OCD that made him fixate on them specifically.
Well, they said there was a history, the attack, the violence against his mother, and then the sister having to get the restraining order. So he had history against women, which is kind of common. You see that some serial killer stuff too. You see that a lot.
I mean, they usually target. I mean, unless you're, a Dahmer or a Gacy or something, and you're a homosexual, like you're typically going to target either the opposite sex or the sex that you're attracted to, or something like that. I don't think that this guy necessarily was attracted to his aunt, his sisters, or the child, but there was something about women that set him off, specifically the women in his family.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because there's another history too that I haven't got to yet. I'll go ahead and bring it up now since you are since we're talking about the women, right? This wasn't Michael's first experience with the family side, familiar side, right? In 1973, a year before Paul was born. Now, this is Paul's father.
Okay. The one who invited him to Thanksgiving.
Yes. Michael's sister
So it would be Paul's aunt.
43-year-old Miami opera singer Salwa Barhingi Abrams. That was her husband's last name, so it had a hyphenated last name. After her final divorce hearing from her husband, pilot James Abrams, 45, she fatally shot him and their 2 children, Jack, 14, and Melissa Ann, 10, before killing herself. 1 year before Paul was born.
Okay, so his aunt did this. She kills her husband, her children, and then herself.
Yep. So this family has a history.
I was about to say there is definitely some kind of genetic component going on here with the mental illness aspect of it.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, like women, we don't typically do stuff like that, especially to our own children. The like husbands or whatever, I can kind of see it if they're like cheating or something. You know me, when I'm watching Snapped, I'm sitting there like, okay, good for you, girl. You know?
Right.
But to do it to your children, that'll be a future episode. I've got like the Susan Smiths, the Diane Downs, Andrea Yates that we're going to cover. That's something I'm never going to be able to wrap my brain around as a mother.
No.
Like I cannot, I can't do it. I cannot make my brain comprehend that.
So, like I said,
his aunt a year
before he was born. Yeah. So he never met her.
Yeah.
But still, that is kind of interesting that there was that history in his own family like that.
I think there might be a lot of undiagnosed mental illness in the family because that is a genetic issue.
So as a gunfire is still just resonating throughout the house, Paul walks down the stairs, past everybody, straight out the front door, gets back in his car, and he leaves. He runs.
He doesn't even try to hurt anybody else.
No. He eludes authorities for 38 days before he's captured on January 2nd, 2010.
Huh. So he didn't try to turn himself in or just...
No. Now, Paul was featured on an episode of America's Most Wanted in 2010, which the owners of a Edgewater Lodge in the Florida Keys was watching that night. And even though Paul had shaved his head and grew a beard, the owners recognized him as a guest, and they called the police, and the police came and got him at that hotel. Paul had checked in on December 2nd of 2009, and he had stayed there, for about a month? Yeah, January 2nd, 2010.
So 38 days, so a little more than a month.
Yeah. Well, he checked in on December 2nd, and he got arrested on the January 2nd. So there was about a week or so there where there was a while before he wasn't there. Now, the U.S. Marshals burst into a second-floor room, caught him by surprise. They found material suggesting that he might have planned to kill himself, but he surrendered without resisting, and he was taken into custody.
He may have had the plans to take himself out, but maybe just lacked the guts to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I think he was probably spent the whole month in there trying to work himself up to do it and couldn't.
Maybe.
That's why he just broke down and surrendered. They said after he was arrested that he pleaded for forgiveness and showed remorse and all this stuff. But
I'm sorry. If he had left the kids alone and everything like that, I might have had some kind of sympathy because of his mental illnesses. But to sit there, take out a pregnant woman. Did it say how far along she was?
No, it doesn't say. Mm-mm.
Regardless, that's one child there and the mother. And then the other child who was 6 years old, and he turned around in the doorway and shot 2 other times into her room.
Right.
I'm sorry. To me, there's nothing lower than killing a child. So
no, I agree. So the prosecutors were originally going to go for the death penalty. This is in Florida. So they was going to go for the death penalty originally, but due to a plea deal, the sentence was brought down to serving, he was ordered to serve 7 consecutive life sentences in prison.
I'm sorry. A crime like that, to me, I'm not going to make a plea deal at all. I'm going for the death penalty.
Yeah.
I'm just, that would be me if I was a prosecutor or district attorney or something. Like, no, I mean, you killed a pregnant woman and a 6-year-old child, among others.
Right.
You're just going to the chair or you're getting the needle. Like that's just all there is to it.
I'm assuming with the history from the mental illnesses or something, maybe it's why they offered him one.
Extenuating circumstances.
It doesn't go
type of
into
deal.
any details of why, but it does say, and this is a heartbreaking scene to me. The Michaela's father, Jim, he was also a photojournalist for a local news station. Not that it mattered, but in the courtroom while this was going on, when the sentencing was going on, he begged the court on knees. I mean, very emotional. He was crying and begging that the prosecutors keep the death penalty.
I'd say you would be doing that if
Yeah.
it was me and the Tiny Tyrant. Like,
But
you would
ultimately,
absolutely be pushing for the death penalty.
yeah. But ultimately, they give him the 7 without the possibility of parole. So,
I mean, maybe they went with a plea deal because they didn't feel like it was a strong enough case. But I mean, they've got multiple eyewitnesses.
right.
I mean, how many people were at this family gathering?
17 people total.
And I mean, so that's at least like what? Let's say at the very most, like 11.
Yeah,
10
we're
or
assuming.
11
I'm assuming some
eyewitnesses.
people had left by that point, but yeah, had went home. But at the dinner part, there was 17 there.
Mm.
It doesn't say how many it was there at the time of the shootings, but they said the whole family there was 35 people in the whole family, but a lot of them didn't show up. But
I mean, they probably, like every other family, has other obligations on Thanksgiving. So,
well, the Sittons, which was Michaela's
family,
the ones that was hosting, and Patrick Knight, which was Lisa Ann's husband, the pregnant lady's husband, they sued Paul's parents, not Michael and whatever her parents was, because for negligence, claiming that they deliberately did not tell the Sittons that they had invited their son and to warn them that he was coming. Now, that did get thrown out. It was dismissed.
I was about to say, I don't see that flying. Like,
but I see just the pain of them doing it. You know,
they need somebody to blame. They need somebody to hold accountable for what happened. I mean, I completely get that.
Yeah, it was emotionally charged and based, and it was dismissed ultimately. But I understand why they would do it. But he's still in prison in Florida, again, serving 7 consecutive life sentences. He'll never get out.
Yeah.
So
I still think he should have got the needle, but
that's not that doesn't fits anything with the people who lost loved ones. But at least there is some sort of justice there.
Some kind of closure.
Yeah.
You know. So that was first course. Like we had the 3 appetizers. That was first of the main courses.
That's first of the main courses. Now we got a 2-part course, main course.
Okay.
We got the main event right now. So this one is Omaima Nelson.
How's it?
Omaima Nelson. We're going to call her Mamie.
I don't know if we can get away with that.
Omaimi is Egyptian-born fashion model Omaimi Nelson, 23 years old at the time. This is Thanksgiving Day, 1991. And that would have been November the 28th, 1991.
That was just a few months after Jeffrey Dahmer got arrested.
Yeah.
Because I was 4.
So you wasn't very old. So Mamie Nelson, we're going to call her Nelson. Nelson is an Egyptian-born fashion model, and she was repeatedly plunged a pair of scissors into the chest and stomach and torso of her husband, 56-year-old pilot Bill Nelson, in Costa Mesa, California. Costa Mesa?
Costa Mesa.
Costa Mesa.
I think so, yeah.
It's in California. Then she reached for a clothing iron. So a clothes iron.
I say the kind of like It's got the point at the top. And,
yeah, the little handle heats up, and she pummels him with it, bludgeons him with it, and kills him with that.
So the stabbing didn't kill him.
No.
The bludgeoning with the iron did.
Yep.
Girl was determined.
She beat him until the point that the iron broke in her hand.
Yeah, she was definitely intent on killing him.
Nelson unleashed her fury against Bill, and her claim was over sexual terror and other abuses to which Bill had subjected her to. The reported acts was him pimping her out to his friends for rent money, cash, and at one point a car.
He's a pilot?
Yeah.
Right. Why did he need all the cash? They make good money.
This is her side of the story.
Okay.
So now she tells this, like I said, this is her side of the story on all this. And then we're going to get into some more of the other things that come out in the court case.
So I was about to say, he's not here to give his side of it.
Right. So when Bill had died and he's laying there on the floor in the kitchen, Nelson begins to butcher his body right there on the kitchen floor.
See, I mean, stuff like that definitely is like when you see that kind of overkill is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a legitimate term in forensics. It's overkill.
Yeah.
That is you only ever see that with somebody who knows the victim and is like very, very angry or emotional about something. So they're taking all of that emotion out on the victim even after they're dead.
Right. Well, she skins him, this torso.
Ooh.
She cuts off his hands and boils them in the pot of oil
So she deep fries his hands.
Deep fries his hands, and she says it's to take away his fingerprints.
I don't think that really works.
Oh, it gets worse. She takes his head, she cuts his head off, boils it, and then wraps it up, puts it in the freezer.
Okay. There's a lot of anger here.
Yes. She then, at some point during all this, she castrates the husband completely.
I mean, this is all post-mortem, right? He's already dead.
He's already dead at this point.
Okay, well, I guess that's a very good thing for him. So.
Right. And she takes and dismembers the body, quarters it, legs, arms, all this kind of stuff. She quarters it all out.
This is going to be very, very weird, and it's probably going to make a lot of people say, yeah, that tracks. My first thought when you said that, like, she's quartering him up, like, in, legs, arms, and everything, and I'm wondering, my first question is, like, did she go at the joints? Because it's a lot easier to dismember if you go at the joints.
Yeah, I would imagine. I had just assumed so, because that's what makes the most sense. You cut the joint out, and it's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier than cutting through the bone.
Yeah, you're not cutting through bone at all. You're just going through those tendons and ligaments.
Yeah,
and stuff. Much easier to. If you're cutting up a deer,
yeah, I promise.
You go at the joint, and that's where you cut it off, because you ain't got to cut through the bone. You cut through the ligaments and the tendons and things like that.
We're a completely normal family. Well, no, I really can't say that with that sign above the TV.
Yeah, don't lie to the people.
Yeah.
We know things, okay? So anyway, she cuts the body up.
We could be your best friends or like your nightmare.
Right. So as she was cutting and slicing and dicing, she was taking body parts and she was putting them in bags.
This takes time too. Like, she spent a lot of time with his dead body.
This is mentioned. She puts puts parts in a bag, Ziploc bags and things like that. Puts it in her kitchen, in the refrigerator and all this stuff. She takes other parts and she's pushing them down the trash or the disposal and all that stuff. I guess the more undesirable pieces.
It has to be the soft stuff because it won't really do a lot of the dense bone.
Yes. And she actually says that while all this is going on, talking about taking a lot of time, she realizes, hey, this is Thanksgiving of all days to do this. And I haven't eaten anything yet.
Did she?
According to court documents, Nelson told the psychiatrist after she was arrested and everything that she had prepared Bill's ribs with barbecue sauce. She put them in the oven, barbecue sauce and other spices, put them in the oven.
She actually took the time to use spices.
She cooked them thoroughly and then plated them along with sides that was for the Thanksgiving dinner that they was making. And her quote is, she was surprised that upon sinking her teeth into her dead husband's glazed and perfectly cooked flesh, she declared it tasted so sweet.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of nicknames for human flesh, and it is
long pig.
They say that it tastes almost like a sweet pork.
Yeah, exactly. So,
which bothers me a lot.
If you have, I like beef ribs mainly, but if you do like pork ribs or something, you can get an idea of what she was eating.
Yeah.
Flavor wise. So chew on that. I wonder if she put bacon on them and all that kind of stuff too.
I mean, it says she used spices. She
barbecue sauce and
this.
Barbecue sauce and other spices. Because I can just picture her.
Because see, to me, Jeffrey Dahmer, he was kind of bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him actually taking time to season anything that he was consuming.
Well, it's a woman.
And then we had that Chase guy, Richard Chase.
He was eating stuff raw.
He was blending it and just drinking it.
He mixed it with Coca-Cola.
I was about to say he did mix it with Coke.
Yeah,
yes,
keep it from coagulating and taste better. But yeah, she took time to prepare it. Not just him, but other side dishes as well. And she had her Thanksgiving feast. And I'm sure that kitchen, because she done the butchering in the kitchen, so I imagine she's covered with blood. There's blood everywhere else. And she's cooking like a 1950s housewife with a little apron on, humming along to her songs, making dinner.
I'm not going to say anything now.
So now, this was on Thanksgiving Day. Over the course of the following days, Nelson enlisted a pair of ex-boyfriends, to help get rid of what remained of, to help get rid of the leftovers.
The leftovers. Did she invite them over for a meal?
It doesn't say. They would just come over for the next several days to help with the leftovers.
Because if she just invited them over for a meal, I can kind of see this. It even being ex-boyfriends. But if they knew that they were getting rid of body parts and everything, this is way more than an ex-boyfriend. If they're willing to do this for you.
It is theorized that they did eat, but not knowingly so, because they were adamantly during the trial. So they were adamant that they had no idea this was human, and no way did we do any cannibalizing.
Okay, so it was probably she invited them over for a meal,
and she even changes her story. Now she tells the psychiatrist that she did, but in court she denies it. In court she says she didn't.
Yeah,
but there's a record, a recording record of her saying she did. So
I mean, they probably did get a court order for those psychiatrist records and everything. Because you would have to.
Yeah, and the psychiatrist did in court also testify to.
Okay, so that's good.
That's all that's on record that she did say that. So now the ex-boyfriends, they move in with her and help dispose of the leftovers for days, not just a afternoon. They stayed for a while.
She made enough to have days worth of leftovers.
Well, I'm sure they was doing other things. She was 23 years old.
That's true.
And ex-boyfriends.
She was a model, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was a model. Now, on the prosecutor's side, they tell a story about her being promiscuous and all the way through the courtship, all the way through the marriage, which the marriage only lasted a few months with this pilot. I mean, they got married that summer, and then this was that same November, so just a few months.
Okay.
When all this happened. And there was no other her story about being pimped out. There's no other.
Wondering, like, now, was it actually her being pimped out, or was she just like sleeping with everybody?
Her story about her being pimped out and all that could not be corroborated with anybody else.
Yeah.
That's just what her side of the story was. I'm not saying it's not true, just saying
there's no evidence of it being true.
So December 1st, police get a tip about body parts being seen inside a parked car that belonged to Bill Nelson. And of course, the body parts were Bill.
Nelson.
The officers dropped by Nelson's home, which was Bill's home, and talked to her to inform her of the discovery. And once there, found that she was acting erratic and just kind of like, oh, well, my husband's car was found off somewhere with body parts in it.
And she didn't seem to care at all.
Didn't seem to care. So they searched the house, and they found newspaper wrapped pieces of Bill in the refrigerator.
So what was, their newspaper wrap, like butcher paper or
Yes.
something. Was she planning to like just continue making meals?
At some point, that's what it looks like, that she was feasting on him for a while and was continuing to do so.
I think this goes like maybe beyond anger, because that anger is going to dissipate after he's dead for a normal person. So there has to be a lot more going on in that girl's head. Right.
Now, talking about her side of the story. Now, once they found the body parts, they immediately arrest her and take her in. And while she was in custody and the prosecuting attorneys was building their case against her, this is some of the things that she uncovered. That Williams, the victim Bill, probably didn't know about because his friends and stuff that were using her, that was name called, and that denied all that, said that they don't know her or anything like that, other than that she had hit on them before.
I say that's what I was wondering, if she had come on to them and was, it was a consensual affair.
Yeah.
Maybe that then after the murder she was saying, oh well, he gave me to them, like, whatever.
So the defense attorney, Randy Pulaski, built a case against Omema Nelson, saying that she was a scam artist who preyed on men, had a history of preying on men, specifically using one-night stand bondage sex games to rob them. Huh. She would get them
bound up and everything where they couldn't move, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she had a history of this. In fact, at the time of the killing, the Thanksgiving Day, she was facing 3 felony charges, not yet had went to court yet, regarding a 1990 incident in which she allegedly tied up and etched, slapped him around, quote unquote, and demanded money at gunpoint before releasing him.
Jeez. Yeah, girl's got issues.
Yeah.
And that's putting it very, very mildly.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
She had this man wrapped up in butcher paper in her fridge. Like, she was clearly planning to continue eating him.
I forgot about this. This was, I mentioned the apron part before, and I was wrong. It's even better. During the trial, with that same interview with a psychiatrist about cooking him up, this is also recorded, and this is what she says. She details putting on, quotes, a red dress, red shoes, and a red hat before prepping and cooking Bill's rib meat.
So she got all dolled up.
Mm-hmm. She was going to have a fancy Thanksgiving. I did his ribs just like you would in a restaurant, finishing with barbecue sauce and spices. It was delicious. It was so sweet. Not like mine ribs, very tender.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Why are you giggling?
I don't know. I shouldn't. I'm so happy I found this one.
Like, that is, I'm still stuck on the fact that she still had him wrapped up in butcher paper in the fridge. Like, I say butcher paper, but newspaper. Same thing to me.
Right.
Like, she still saved pieces of him in the refrigerator. And the only thing that my mind can come up with was that she was still planning to use it and eat it. And
oh, yeah, for sure. Now, the psychiatrist goes on to say in court, and it's documented, that in his opinion, she was in a psychotic state when,
yeah.
when she killed and ate Bill. And he also says that in the 20 years of his practice, he has never experienced a conversation with a patient so bizarre and so psychotic.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be one of those, like, I don't know if I want to do this job anymore, you know?
Yeah, for real.
Like, this is going to be something I'm going to dream about for the rest of my life.
Yep. And so during the court, while all this is going on, it was kept being brought up by the prosecution, and you'll get a kick out of this, that the tawdy atmosphere was upped even further because the number one movie dominating pop culture at the time of this trial was Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, that's just like poetic justice or
Yes.
something.
And yeah, I think everybody here knows what Silence of the Lambs is. It's about Dr. Hannibal Lecter, serial killer.
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Serial killer and cannibal. So that was the number one movie in the box office while this trial was happening.
So, I mean, it wasn't out when she murdered him or anything. It was just at the time of the trial was the number one movie.
The number one movie dominating pop culture at the time of the trial when all this was going on. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yep.
So that one's rough even for me. Like, that's bad.
Right. So the jury spent 6 days, what is this, deliberating on it. And come back and declared O'Mamie Nelson guilty on second-degree murder. The jury foreman says it was a really, really tough decision. We couldn't come back with first-degree murder verdict because we couldn't find the evidence.
I say that was probably a spur-of-the-moment killing.
Yeah.
Like, something set her off and she just went nuts.
Yeah, it says, he goes on to say that the evidence just wasn't there. It took us 6 days and we worked really hard, but we could not find the evidence for first degree.
I say first degree, it requires the premeditation. If they cannot prove that she planned this ahead of time.
Yep.
And based on the viciousness, like the stabbing and the bludgeoning and everything, that's very, very spur of the moment. She used an iron. That's a weapon of opportunity. It was just there. She just grabbed it.
Right.
So.
Right. So they ultimately come up with, they found her guilty, second degree, and she was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. That seems kind of light to me. So
I would say so. I mean, this is a very deeply unwell person.
Yep. So she comes up to parole ever so often. She comes up for parole. When she came up for parole in 2011, O'Mamie insisted that she was not a monster, that she did not cannibalize Bill in any way.
After admitting it and keeping parts of him like ready to cook.
Yeah.
Like.
So, and also during her hearing for being her parole hearing, she pointed out that she had never hurt the man that she married while incarcerated, even though while in the trailer where the couple had enjoyed their conjugal visits, and for some reason in Florida, you get a 3-day conjugal visit inside this trailer if you're married. 3 days, 3 days and nights.
That's okay.
She says that while they had their 3-day conjugal visits, she never hurt her husband, and there was knives in the kitchen.
Wait, so they give these people a trailer?
Yes.
With a like fully functional kitchen.
Yep.
With knives?
Yep.
In what world does that make sense?
I don't know.
Especially for a woman like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like there will be no there will be not even like any blunt object is going to be like
she wouldn't
bolted to the floor.
She darn sure wouldn't get no irons.
No.
But a 3-day conjugal visits, and she didn't kill. And her defense was like, "Well, look, I was in there for 3 days and I didn't kill him."
Well, he didn't piss you off, apparently.
Yeah. So she comes up to again in 2026, but they say they say that she has shown no signs whatsoever of remorse. She vehemently denies doing anything like the cannibalism parts. She says that she's a victim in this, and that she has also not shown any improvements in prison. She's declined any of the classes that you take, any of the life betterment.
Right.
She's consistently not doing those at all, showing no signs of wanting to improve. So they're thinking that in 26 she'll be denied again because she's showing no signs of improvement. So
I hope so. Jeez, we don't want that woman out and about. Like that's terrifying.
Nope. So if you had ribs on Thanksgiving, I'm sorry, but there you go.
You better hope all your family was not having any kind of marital problems.
Yeah, I'm telling you this. The story on this one is just, it sounds fake. It's almost so out there.
Like that sounds like one of those bad movies, just the body horror movies that I'll watch.
Yeah. Especially her getting dressed up in the red and taking her time to cook him,
Because ribs take a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the appetizers and the main course. And we got dessert coming for next. Do you want to do the in memoriam first or go ahead and do the dessert?
We always do that last. So let's go ahead. We got about 15 minutes. So let's get through those.
So dessert.
Because now I need to see what else you picked for me.
Yeah, dessert is
this is like my Thanksgiving gift from my husband.
Yeah.
All these stories.
So this was let me see the date on this one. I'm terrible at dates. 1997.
Okay.
Thanksgiving Day.
I was 10 at this point.
Thanksgiving Day, 1997, and November, whatever. I don't know the date on that one. But these two incidents happened at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Ooh.
In full view of everybody.
Broad daylight, like big crowd.
Not only broad daylight.
That's bold.
Not only broad daylight, but on camera.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's even bolder than I thought.
Some of you out there may get an idea of what this is coming on. There's 2 cases. And here's the thing. 2 events happened the same day on the same parade route, just at different
sections
times.
Of it.
Yeah. These 2 events happened.
Okay.
Now, the first event is a attack that leaves a woman in a coma in the hospital.
Okay.
The second attack is actually done by police officers on the victim, and they bludgeon and stab multiple times.
The police?
The police did it, yeah.
Okay.
I'm surprised you don't know about this
one. I was 10, so...
But still, I mean, does anybody...
Well, okay, I knew Jeffrey Dahmer's address when I was 9, so I probably should have known about
this. So
again,
one. November, whatever, Thanksgiving Day, 1997, at the Thanksgiving Day, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, one of the biggest events.
On 34th Street, right there in New York.
Yeah, one of the biggest events, televised events all of the year. And it was caught on camera.
Okay.
Both events were. So here we go. We've got the first event. Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat was coming down to balloons, right?
Okay. When you decided to dive into this, Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat was not the first words I expected from you.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat was coming down the balloon. And it's extremely windy day that day. And the balloon gets caught up and hits a lamppost and gets tied up in the lamppost, breaks the lamppost, right?
Yeah, I mean, those things are massive, so.
The top of the lamppost breaks off, and it sends debris into the crowd, and it struts a woman in the head, and she goes into a coma for a week. So Cat in the Hat.
She comes out of the coma.
Yeah, Cat in the Hat attacked a woman in the parade in 1997, puts her in the hospital
I mean,
with
the
a head
left was
injury
always
in a
saying
coma.
Dr. Seuss was evil. So,
Right.
I mean.
So that's attack number one for our dessert course. That's attack number one.
And it was the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, the Cat in the Hat. Right. So, serious head injury, puts her in the hospital. She's in a coma for a whole week. And
well, I mean, thank God. I mean, it was only a week. I mean, for the family, that probably seemed like an eternity, but she comes out of it apparently. So,
right. So the same day later on, after the Cat in the Hat had sent this woman to the hospital, everybody was on high alert at this point because of what had happened. Right.
Nowadays, they would have canceled the whole rest of the parade. You know.
Well, they pulled the balloons down closer because the wind's trying to control them better because the wind's getting too high. Well, one balloon was so unruly and so big that they feared any further helium on human violence that the decision was made by the New York Police Department to end it preemptively before it happened.
What balloon was this?
So
I need to know.
in front of the whole world via cameras, right on 34th Street, in front of the little children, the New York Police Department beset upon Barney.
Oh, no.
The purple dinosaur. And they beat him with his clubs. And they subdued him to the ground. And they slashed him open from throat through the sternum all the way down.
They gutted Barney.
Right in front of the children.
Oh, my God. That's so bad.
So now we have a police-involved murder right in front of everybody.
And yet again, it is a character of color.
Yeah. Right there, man. Right in the streets of New York, in front of the whole world.
Oh, my God.
Yes, but they said that the risk of human injury was weighed honorably higher than the PR hit taken by the video of Barney being air-holed so brutally that would make Brutus wince.
Air-holed brutally.
Yes.
I'm going to have to remember that.
Brutally air-holed.
Oh, my God. Oh, that is... Okay, I definitely needed that after the woman eating her husband, so...
Yeah. I figured that'd be good for a dessert, a palate cleanser for sure there, right?
Yes.
So...
Oh, my God.
Well, while she's giggling, Rick, I'm going to go ahead and do the
I can't giggle to the in memoriam.
I'll do that real quick. I've got their names and everything right here. So, as always, we have fun on the show. We love doing it. We like to entertain you guys. Are you not entertained? If we can, we hope you are entertained. But in all seriousness,
these are real cases.
These
are real life people. They belong to somebody. I mean, and some of these involve children. So,
yeah. So we're going to go through the victims real quick and give their names out there so that they can be remembered.
Yeah, we always like to end the show with their names. So that's the last thing we leave with you guys is their names.
Mm-hmm. So we'll start with 1991, November 28th, Thanksgiving Day. The victim is William Nelson, age 56. And then moving on up, we have Ramonda Joseph, age 76. We have Carla Lynn Merhage, age 33.
And we do apologize if we're butchering names. So.
Yeah. We have Lisa Ann Knight, age 33. She is also pregnant with obviously with an unborn child. So that unborn child matters as well.
I say we don't have a name or how old they were or anything, but they were killed too. So.
And then we have that same family. We have Michaela Sitton, age 6. Now we have another victim in Thanksgiving Day of 2010, was it 2009? Kevin Medola, he was one killed in the shooting spree. And we have, last but certainly not least, the two teenagers, Haley Kiefer, age 18, and Nicholas Brady, age 17. That was November 22nd, 2012. Of course, they had many other people throughout these stories that was injured, and we don't want to take those lightly as well. But these people here lost their lives, and we definitely want to honor them the best way we can. It's a small honoring, but it's what we can do.
That's about all we can do. So we do what we can.
Yes. And like I said, we always want to make sure that we honor those people, because even though the stuff we talk about sometimes is very, very dark, sometimes we try to keep it light. And
sometimes it's necessary to keep it light, because you just, I don't even know how to really describe that, how to keep it that light and everything, even in the face of what we're doing.
Right. But just keep those people in your mind and your hearts and your thoughts and prayers if you want to. And also your family and your friends that you just saw on Thanksgiving, or if you wasn't able to be with them, at least you thought about them, I hope. And just know that don't take anybody,
for granted.
Really. Whether you are currently with them or you're separated from them for whatever reasons, they're still your family, they're still your friends, and they still matter. And believe me, life could be worse. So just gotta look on the bright side, as Monty Python likes to remind us in The Life of Brian.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, despite disagreements or, petty differences and everything, we're all still human, and we're trying to get through this life as best we can. So
just if you have a drink, raise a toast. Remember Barney and what he gave up on 1997.
Barney's sacrifice.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's the show for tonight. It's nice, and we try to keep it lighthearted best we could. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it.
This is the first time we've covered this many cases in one episode. So
yeah, a lot of small cases, nothing too bad other than Miss Cannibal.
Yeah, that's rough. But I know you can find me. I'm Bumpstock Barbie. I write for Twitchy. I've got my author page in my bio. We run the Front Porch Forensics Twitter page, and that's FP_forensics. He's Bumpstock Ken.
Yeah, Bumpstock Ken on X. Of course, I do this show with my wife every other Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Of course, you can find our show on klrnradio.com. They have a YouTube channel and whatnot, but I'll let Rick tell all about that because he's got it down to an art.
All right. First of all, thank everybody for hanging out. Just so you guys know, Laura, I can't see your numbers on your Facebook page, but from what I can see, you guys had almost 600. And last time I looked at your Facebook, you had about 70 on there. So I think we actually broke it. So
not bad.
Not a bad night all the way around. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out. If you like what we're doing here, you can follow along with us at KLRN Radio. You can find us on YouTube and on Rumble under the same name. Everything is also usually available on Spreaker. It's also available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and pretty much every other podcast catcher known to man. And if you guys don't know everything I do around here by now, you're not paying attention. I'm not doing all that tonight. We're going away. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Spread the word. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
I listen to a lot of true crime. I listen to it at night. I like the girl talk. It makes me feel alright. I like scary stories in the morning, and I like them at night. I like the girl talk vibes. They make me feel just fine. I listen to a lot of true crime.